Good morning, everybody. Today I'm going to do a backyard garden and a backyard orchard combination video. So I'm going to grab you, we'll walk around, check out the fruit trees, see what additions we have this year, and check out the garden. Let's go. Okay, so last year, I think it was last year, the pear tree died and we took it down. And if you remember, we tried to have a sucker make it, and that sucker didn't make it. So I took old deck boards and I made a compost pile. And this is some volunteer squash of some kind growing in the compost pile. So I figured I would just let that grow and see what it turned out to be. This is the cherry tree that comes ripe first, usually in June. The latter part of June is when this one is finished being picked. We put them in 4 bags with 4 cups in them, and I bet we have probably 15, anywhere from 15 to 20, which would be, up to 80 cups of cherries. So we'll move along. And the pear tree had a great year last year, and it looks like it's going to have another great year this year. The problem with the pear tree is the kids don't eat many pears, but I think I'm going to can them, maybe have them and can them and see how that goes. This is the other cherry tree. They're both dwarf cherry trees, but this one gets fuller. This one comes ripe at the very end of June and into early July. But every year for the 4th, we're at the cabin unless there's something going on that we can't go. So we usually we get one, probably 3 or 4 bags, 4-cup bags of cherries picked and pitted off this. And then before we go on vacation, we usually just pick all the cherries that are red and freeze them, pit and all. Because by the time we get back, the birds and squirrels and bugs will have eaten them. Well, this year we didn't do that, and when we got back, I don't know, a combination of the heat and the bugs, but they're all rotten. There isn't a good cherry left on the tree, so. But good thing is we have a ton of cherries. I just hate to see them go to waste, so to speak. I'd rather the birds eat them than have them rot. And it kind of had to be the heat. If you can see that, it kind of had to be the heat that caused that. And they were even more moldy. Yeah, see? I mean, I would have rather picked them and just given them to the chickens. So this is part of the raised garden bed. I have pumpkins, cucumbers, and I think some yellow squash in here. These big ones, and there's also watermelon, but they're not doing well. The small beds I built last year, and then I built a little bit bigger ones for some of this viney stuff. And then I leaned pallets up and put on some fencing to help them climb. This is a new apple tree planted last year, I think, last spring. Still no bees. And stuff back there is blackberries, raspberries, and asparagus, and volunteer walnut trees that need to be cut out. This is a plum tree. It has a fair number of plums on it. The thing with a plum tree is it's continually dropping plums, like it can't support all of them. So we'll see how many are ripe at the end. I think I'm going to try and can plums whole this year and see if that changes whether the kids like to eat them or not. Got our tomato plants, several different varieties, cherry, Roma, big boy, whatever, a whole bunch of them. And this year, for the first time ever, I planted potatoes. And for the most part, most of them came up. So we'll see how well it works out. I put them in this black plastic tile. Field tile on farm fields and stuff comes wrapped around those things. They're like 10 feet long. I cut them into sections and put potatoes in them. We'll see how it works. And then there's green bush zucchini here. Then here's the garden. We planted Brussels sprouts, which I am not going to break the leaves off this year. Just going to let them grow and see what happens. Remember the last time we broke leaves off, and because I saw that was a method, but we didn't get very big, the Brussels sprouts at all. They were tiny. Tasted good, just tiny. I have a whole bunch of beans. Well, for this garden, a whole bunch of beans. Some yellow beans, mostly the green beans. Bush, crop, something. Got a few different kinds of peppers. There's supposed to be some sweet peppers, hot peppers, and bell peppers in there. And I think those sweet peppers are ready to be picked. For beans, we have yellow beans here, and then these are bush, and then I have the green beans, green bush beans here and along the back. So, we've got onions, red onions, and I watered the other day, and some of them fell. I might be picking those a little early and using them. We've got a row of kale, some leaf lettuce, and spinach. The spinach is bolted already. The kale's a little worse for wear, but we've had several harvests off it. The lettuce is doing great. We've had several harvests off that. And I just planted another row of assorted greens in there just before I watered, so should be getting a few more coming up because that spinach is no good anymore. And then as usual, we have 2 rows of radishes. So we're picking one and planting it and letting it grow, and we always have a row ready. And I did try a different kind of radish this year called Black Beauty, and yeah, I won't do that again. They took a longer time to get big, and I mean, they tasted like radishes, but it just took more germination time. And I did plant peas again this year. And these are a few of the kind you're supposed to peel and pod, and then most of them are the kind you can eat, like for stir fry. Not that you can't eat the pod on them, they just have the string and stuff. So, but today I got to get a bunch of green beans picked, finish picking the peas, try to stand the onions back up. I can tell this video is already probably going to be longer than I thought it would because I can't shut up. So I don't think I'll do canning on this video. I'll do a separate video for that. Some additions this year, along with chickens, are chokeberry bushes. So I've tried blueberries here, and we can't get blueberries to grow here well. We have neighbors that can grow some. People not that far away get a ton of them, but I've never had success with them. So I like the little berry fruits. They're good for jams and just adding to pancakes or whatever you want. So I bought 3 of these. And they'll get like 6 feet tall. It's not a tree, it's a bush. It's a chokeberry bush. So we'll see how that turns out. As for the onions that were bent over, I went and I gave them a haircut. You know, if it doesn't work and they don't take back off, I'll just pull the onions and use them. You know, part of gardening is experimenting, and if this works, then I'll get more growth on those onions, because they really shouldn't be ready for, you know, another month at least. You know, so if not more. I still have to come back. I'll cut a little bit of kale and some of that lettuce, and I'll plant the German giant radishes in the row I just picked. So we'll have a few fresh vegetables with dinner tonight. Yeah, that's kind of one of the fun things about gardening and watching some other videos. I've heard it a few times. Gardening is kind of a personal thing. It's do what you want to do. If it doesn't work, that's on you, right? It doesn't. Obviously, you want to be successful, but you got to do what works for you. You know, I plant those lettuce rows too close together, according to the paper. But if I want that kind of lettuce and that much stuff, I've got to plant it close because I don't have the room. So you got to do what's right for you. You know, I plant my beans probably too close. But if I want to all get enough to can, I have to do that. I didn't talk about the apple trees. I didn't show you the apple trees. I think I showed you one new one. We have another new one. A green apple. And the one I showed you, the yellow apple, I believe. And then we have a regular one. And I don't remember, I'd have to look at my book to see what kind it is. But it's a tart. It's not sweet. None of our apples are sweet. But I don't see any apples on any of them, even the established tree. Last year was a bumper crop of apples. And this year, I don't even see one hiding on the tree, which, you know, that's pretty typical of the apple tree. It's actually pretty typical of the pear tree, so I'm surprised we have that many pears this year. But regardless, we got a ton of apples last year to the point where we were sick of peeling them. And thankfully, my wife did most of them. Another new addition are grapes. And I got a couple of different kinds, actually 3 different kinds. And I know 2 of them are Concord. And then another one's a lighter pinkish colored grape. Gala or something like that sounds, I know that's an apple, but that's what's sticking in my head right now. I can't think of the name. And that one's called a bluebell. So the one next to it's a Concord. Pretty sure the next one's a Concord grape, and then the other 2 are the other ones. I just put the lines up from Divine on and Go To. They were pretty small when I bought them, so we'll see how they do. And of course, we have rhubarb too, over by the beehives, and then one up by the apple tree. So I didn't talk about strawberries either, and or show you that patch. They're done for the year, even though when I bought them through the seed company, I bought them through, I want to say Burgess, or one of those seed companies that send you the magazines. You know, they're all supposed to be everbearing all summer long. Well, they don't, which doesn't surprise me, because I've only ordered 2 things over the years that have either lived or I've been happy with from those companies. The German giant radish seeds and these hybrid poplar trees. lived and grew fast, and that's what I wanted. Other than that, any fruit tree I've ordered, blueberries, other seeds, none of them have been. Even the strawberry popcorn was a bit of a disappointment. So anyway, that's another story. But chickens are being loud. The other thing is, I don't remember when I did the video, but I put in a clothesline. I think it was 2 years ago. Last year we had, I want to say it was last year, we had straight line winds come through. I was at the cabin, but apparently it came out of nowhere, and there were clothes on the line, and it bent it straight over. So that was pretty well shot. So I rigged up something temporary. That might have been 2 years ago now, and I put it in 3 years ago. Yeah. But the temporary thing was a bit of a pain. It wasn't quite long enough. It was a little bit wobbly. So I got some poles from the scrap pile at the farm and put them in the ground, and it's far more sturdy, holds more clothes. It works pretty well. I'm doing what I didn't really want to do. I'm taking up more yard, but the kids are getting older and they play less in the yard. You know, they're like other kids. They'd rather be inside doing stuff. We make them come out and do stuff, but it's not like when we were kids and we spent the entire day outside. Here I go rambling again. All right, let's move on. So if you remember that video of the clothesline, I ended up, well, we need a table because you bring clothes basket out, hang clothes up, and you set it in the grass, and inevitably, as careful as you want to be, there ends up being grass on some of the clothes and in the clothes basket. So that's a temporary top, but it's kind of a makeshift table to put the clothes basket on. So it'll work for now. I wanted a metal pipe, and I have a metal one in there, but it didn't quite fit right. So I had to put that outer plastic sleeve on, which makes it a little more wobbly, but it's just holding the clothes basket, so it does what it needs to do. And I am going to make a proper top for it, but we needed something quick, and that was quick. Here's what we ended up with. Kale, lettuce, and I found some young, fresh dandelion leaves, so I cut those. Peas and green beans. Radishes. Sometimes I don't plant plant them too deep, and you end up with these long things that really don't do anything. So they're kind of like onions. Radishes are. You don't want to get them too deep, or you end up long and skinny instead of bulbous like you want. I picked 3 of the sweet peppers. Picture shows that there's on them shows different colors, but I'm not certain they're supposed to change color. It might have just been one of those advertising things, you know, make it look better. Got some hot peppers, some jalapenos there. Only the one cucumber was ready, and that's on the big side for what I would like, but it's still good. 1 green zucchini, and then 2 yellow squash. And then the ice cream bucket has some shelled corn for the chickens after we top the beans and clean up the lettuce and cut the radishes. We'll give all that to the chickens then. So it'll be kind of a treat for them.